Good evening. I'd like to call to order our regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, February 25th, 2013 at 7 p.m. Our first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members that have given their lives while defending our country. Would everybody please stand? Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Mayor Walker?
Here.
Councilmember Squires?
Here.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Here.
Councilmember Lynch?
Here.
Councilmember Feta?
Here.
Councilmember Dodge?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is item 4, approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lynch, supported by Councilmember Squires.
May I ask that item A2A be placed at the B agenda for discussion?
Item
A2A.
A2A on the B agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll make that B8. Any other changes? Any other discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Feta?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Moving on to item 5, community events. We have, I think, 3 of them tonight. We'll start off with Hank Cable.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council. Good evening. I'm here tonight to promote our March 10th annual pancake breakfast for the Garden City Lions Club. It's their 23rd year, I believe, of doing this. If anyone doesn't know where the venue is, it's at Ford and Middlebelt at the Moose Hall, just east of Middlebelt and on the south side of Ford Road. Plenty of parking in the back, next door to the Big Daddy's clothes gym, and I understand we've got a new venue going in there, which is going to bring a lot of business into the downtown area. So there's plenty of parking in the back of the building there. Our Garden City firefighters are going to be our guest cooks, which they have forever. And they do a great job for us, and they do this on their own time, folks. They don't get paid for this, they do it on their own time. And Councilmember Fetter and myself is in the back kitchen cooking. Dave's been very responsive to helping us over the years, and he'll be in the back kitchen, and I'll be putting the whip out on him, so he does a good job for us. Also, a special treat this year, if anyone came to the open house with the fire department, the puppy moms were there, and if people don't understand, the puppy moms are the people that take these specially bred dogs, labs and retrievers, from 8 to 10 weeks and keep them until they're 18 months. Then they go back to Rochester for training for the recipients that receive these dogs. And I understand one of them actually is going to Spain this year. But anyway, they were a great hit at the open house with the fire department. I think a lot of people were there. But it's a great attraction, and kids love them, and they love to be petted. So it's a great deal. The other thing is, it's a great deal for $5. All you can eat, $5. Kids under 12 are $2. So get your friends and neighbors to come out. All you can eat, great deal.
What time?
It's the 10th, March 10th, from 8 o'clock. We start serving at 8 o'clock till about 11:30 until we run out of food.
So show up at 11:20.
A lot of people have already donated to it. I know the mayor has. I know Ms. Squares, Mr. Jones, the acting city manager's already made a big commitment for me. So I'll be glad to see you in a couple of days, big fella. You already got the money. Thank you. But anyway, I don't know if the cameras can see this or not, but that's all I got to say. Any questions?
Look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Fetter did a reasonably good job last year of making sure the pancakes were in good shape.
Yes, sir.
I'm confident he'll be able to repeat that performance.
How you doing, Ken?
Okay, we have, next we have Sharon Hassett from Maplewood Community Center.
Good evening. Sharon Hassett, Chairman for Commission on Aging, and I just want to inform everyone and invite everyone to a St. Patrick's Day party at the Maplewood Senior Center. This is going to be Tuesday, March 12th, 11:30 to 2. Have a nice lunch of corned beef and cabbage, red potatoes, desserts. We're going to have live music, play some games, and have fun. There's going to be a door prize valued at over $25. And tickets can be bought at the Maplewood Center for $8 a piece, or if you bring a friend, they're 2 for $15. And if anyone needs more information, the phone number is 734-793-1870. I can leave some of these with you, Allison, and post. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Chief Harmon.
I think there's enough. I just need to keep one.
Redecorating, so a different spot. Good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the community. I'd like to extend an invitation to everyone to attend a brief dedication ceremony for the new Sutphin fire engine on Monday, March 4th at 6:30 p.m., just before the council meeting. If weather permits, we would like to hold the ceremony just outside the south end here on City Hall. Should the weather not cooperate, we will be moving the ceremony inside. We'd like you to please come out and celebrate the community's newest addition to our firefighting apparatus fleet. As you know, Lieutenant Scott Marinkovich successfully wrote the grant, and then Mayor Walker and Council approved the city's required match. Fortunately, the Santu family, they generously donated money to help with the match. And then Captain Derek LaPerriere, he led the team who wrote the specifications for the truck. The feat wasn't taken lightly, and a great deal of time and research went into building this truck. We had a truck built specifically to meet the needs of our community. Captain LaPerriere and Engineer James Podgorski have spent about the last 4 to 6 weeks mounting equipment, lining cabinets, transferring different equipment, training the department members, and scheduling appointments for the radio installation, graphics, and other components. So the ceremony will be brief, but it will mean a great deal to all of us to have our mayor, our council members, our other elected officials, some citizens, and business owners and friends and families to come out and help us celebrate. So hope to see you then.
Absolutely.
Any questions?
Absolutely. Thanks, Chief.
You bet.
Okay, moving on, we have comments from our state and county officials. I see that we have State Representative David Kniezek. He wants to come up and say a few words.
No, it's just you.
Well, maybe it's, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to come provide you all with a legislative update from Lansing. First, I want to start by, if I may, turn to the audience and thanking everybody in the city of Garden City for entrusting within me the opportunity to represent their interest in Lansing. For the people at home that don't know me, my name is David Kniezek. I'm the state representative for the city of Garden City, as well as the cities of Inkster and parts of Dearborn Heights, Westland, and Livonia. I was sworn in just last month. I've been assigned to the Education and Health Policy Committees, have also been brought into the leadership team as an assistant Democratic floor leader for the House Caucus. A brief announcement for anybody that is interested in getting in contact with me, meeting face to face. I hold coffee hours every first, second, and third Monday throughout the district. My Garden City coffee hours are held on every second Monday of the month with Commissioner LeBlanc at the Maplewood Center. We are from 11 to 12:30 a.m. If you're unable to make it at that time, feel free to contact my office. I'll be giving you that number later in my brief, and I'd be happy to meet with any residents one-on-one. As far as updates from the legislature goes, primarily our conversations right now are centered around the budget. We received the governor's budget presentation last week regarding what he is going to prioritize for the next fiscal year. And we're still waiting on some harder numbers as far as what state shared revenue is going to look like, and that obviously impacts the city very much. As it relates to legislation that I'm working on, I'd just like to share with you and members of the city. A few weeks ago, I co-sponsored a resolution supporting the expansion of Medicaid for the state of Michigan as provided for under the Affordable Care Act. I had promised during my campaign to focus heavily on veterans issues here in the state of Michigan. For people that aren't aware, Michigan has the 11th highest veterans population in the state of Michigan, and yet we rank 53rd in terms of veterans' access to benefits. If you know your civics, we've only got 50 states, which means that puts us behind Washington, D.C., Guam, and Puerto Rico in terms of the access to care for Michigan veterans. And to me, of course, that is deplorable. As it pertains to tuition, Michigan veterans who leave Michigan to serve our country overseas, whether it be 1, 2, 3 deployments in the Navy, Marine Corps, what have you, they can come home and then be assessed as out-of-state residents for the purpose of tuition. Tomorrow morning, actually, I'm introducing legislation that would give any reserve, active duty, or honorably discharged veteran in-state tuition rates in the state of Michigan. So I think it benefits our veterans, and it says to the whole country that if you're a veteran, you want to get a degree, Michigan has a program for you, and it's going to be affordable. As it pertains to voting, a package of 3 bills I'm working on right now, the Military Voter Protection Package that allows for ballots that are postmarked by Election Day, coming from overseas to be counted towards ballot totals, the electronics transmission and return of ballots, as well as online statewide registration. The city of Detroit already has online registration for their voter applications. And the final one would be for a veteran ombudsman at our 2 veterans homes in the state of Michigan to allow for legal recourse for any complaints that the veterans have. Additionally, I've co-sponsored legislation that would increase fines for those individuals who park illegally in our handicapped parking spots. Co-sponsored legislation for no reason absentee voting, legislation that would publish legislators' attendance records and voting records online so you can know what we're up to. As well as legislation that would give teachers a tax credit up to $1,000 if they file singly, $2,000 if they file jointly for the supplies that they purchase towards their own specific classroom use. That is my update. I will keep it brief. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Again, we're trying to do things, I don't want to say different, but I try to be as engaging as possible, very collaborative in my approach to doing things. I myself am from Dearborn Heights, but have a tremendous affinity and love for the city of Garden City. So if there's anything that I can do to be of service to the residents or as a resource to you, the members of the council, please, I encourage you to call on me. My office number is 517-373-0849. It's 517-373-0849. And I will do something that most state reps don't do, and I will give everyone my cell phone number, 313-854-0161. I'd appreciate no prank calls. But if anybody has an issue and they need to get a hold of me immediately, I'm more than willing to make myself available to the public. So again, I look forward to working with each and every one of you over the next 2 years. And if you have any questions, I'd be willing to entertain those at this time.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Knizia?
You'll let me off the hook easy.
No, I just have one. Was Linda your secretary? Or I understand she's very old. Is that true? Or
So I spoke with Representative Constant. You're referring to Linda, who was my predecessor's secretary in Lansing.
Yeah.
And I have not gotten an update on her current health status. So I'll make myself a brief note, follow up on that, and I'd be happy to get back to you, Councilman.
she's a fine lady.
I'll be sure to pass that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms.
Just
Blair?
want to thank you for what you're doing for the veterans.
Thank
My
you.
grandson left for Germany today.
Oh,
In the U.S.
fantastic.
Army, so
Fantastic. And I
it means a
appreciate
lot
the
to me.
No,
And to my
it's my
husband.
pleasure. Like I said, there's so many veterans in Michigan, and there's such a tremendous need.
Yes.
And you know, I'm very happy to. You know, I'll be the first to say I'm not on the same side of the governor with a lot of issues, but he's recently expressed his interest and his desire to roll up his sleeves and get to work for some of the veterans' issues. I picked up the phone call the next day, said I'm ready to get to work. So issues like that, we can put aside the D, we can put aside the R, and just get to work. I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're doing an excellent job for being on the job just a little over a month to give us this kind of update already. And of course, me and you have had several conversations, and I know you're going to do a fine job for the state of Michigan and for Garden City, Dearborn, Westland, Inkster, and Livonia. So
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to petitions or communications. I have one communication I'm going to read to the residents because it's near and dear to their heart as soon as I find it here. As you know, we had asked Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc and State Representative David Knizia to look into the water and sewage rates. Got this letter. I think all the council received a letter from Mr. LeBlanc, so I'm going to read it to Mayor and Council. Thank you for your concerns and questions that were raised regarding water and sewage usage rates during the January 28th meeting of the Garden City Council. Commissioner LeBlanc has asked that I give you a formal update. I have been investigating the matter and awaiting a reply from several officials regarding the cost structure of the usage rates. I am told that our office will soon receive a reply. However, I was asked to allow you to know that since we are not able to provide a suitable response at this date, we did wish to advise you that we are still working on this issue, and as soon as we receive the information, we will provide an update. Thank you for raising these concerns with Commissioner LeBlanc. Should further concerns arise, please contact our office. This is regards Jay Blackhorn, Legislative Aide to the Wayne County Commission. So they are looking into these water and sewer rates at our request, and I just wanted to let the residents know that we will be expecting a reply from them. Okay, no public hearings tonight. We'll move on to item 9, the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Ms. Dodge?
so moved.
Support that.
Moved by Councilmember Dodge and supported by Councilmember Kerwin. Any discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Wolf?
Aye. We move on to the study session, B session. Item B1, bids for purchase of folder inserter sealer machine for the, this is for the water department, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor?
Mr. Kerwin?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion.
No,
No?
not yet. Yes,
No?
it's B.
You want to move it to C?
Oh, move to C then, yeah.
Everybody okay with going to
That's how we're
C?
in.
Yeah.
Can we ask Allison first, this is gonna be paid out of the water fund, correct?
Yes,
So
yes,
it will not be used by any of the other departments?
I can't say that if I don't have a need for something to be folded up and the machine is sitting right there, I wouldn't use it, but it's purchased for the fire
Okay,
department.
and did we budget for this?
It is in our budget, yes.
Okay.
We didn't budget for this specifically, but we do have the funds in our budget.
Move to C?
Yep.
Okay. Item B2, construction contract award for the Florence Maplewood Lift Station improvements. This is also out of the water fund.
See?
See?
Can we ask a few questions on this?
Sure.
I noticed that on the very back page, it shows that Hennessy worked with this company before. So I'm assuming that Hennessy can speak for this company, and they're very easy to work with, and he's shaking his head, yes, our engineer is. Will they be subbing any of this out?
You're a very reputable company.
Good evening. Yes, our office has been working with Fishbeck, Thompson, Carr, and Huber on this project. They are experts in pump station design. They're actually helped us with the design of the project. We're looking to award the project to Lawrence Clark as the prime contractor. They're out of Belleville, and they've done quite a bit of pump station construction work. They will be using subcontractors, mostly electrical and mechanical subcontractors for the most part. We do have a list of some of those, the major subcontractors with electrical and mechanical. We have checked their references as well and found them to be adequate. I have not worked with the subcontractors myself, but Fishbeck, Thompson, Carr, and Huber has, and recommends that subcontractors are okay to deal with.
Okay, now, the project will start approximately when?
Well, probably once the project's awarded, I would assume we'll have a pre-construction meeting within 2 weeks. We'll probably have a better idea of the schedule then. There might be some work that starts there in about a month or so. Our understanding is that it may take 2 to 3 months for the pumps to arrive. Once the pumps arrive, the majority of the work will take place. I would guess that the work would be, once the pumps arrive, probably within 4 to 6 weeks after that, the project would be fully complete.
Okay, since the station is going to be down. I read a little bit, you didn't go into much detail, but if we have a major rain event, how are we going to, we don't want a bunch of flooding, so.
As part of the contract, bypass pumping is to be provided and is to be, to handle the necessary flows during a rain event. So there will be enough capacity there to handle flows during wet weather events.
Okay, at the station itself?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and do those have to be open manually since everything's going to be down, or is this something that?
The intent is to replace all the pumps at the same time and then have the bypass pumping in operation basically. And I would guess it's probably going to be about 2 to 3 weeks probably that bypass pumping will be up and running, and it will be, they've been given the option of either using gas power or electrical power. I believe they're going to use electrical power due to the residential area and noise considerations. So it will be, it can be ran manually, but it will be.
So in the case of a rain event, we don't have to all of a sudden shiver because water's backing up all over that section. It'll automatically kick on.
Right, right.
Okay, and then this is more for, I guess, our police chief and DPS schools. If this is being, because Florence is going to be closed in this section. If we're into this project before schools get out, a bus route, I know they go up and down Florence, we need to coordinate with the schools.
We will.
Okay. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Fetter?
One question on the subcontractors. Do we have in the contract this time that you have to approve every time they subcontract a job out? So we don't, because Harrison was an issue to me.
Yes.
They kept subcontracting so far there was no meat on the bone and the guy wouldn't show up, so.
That same general condition is in the specs, yes.
It is, okay,
Yes.
good, thank you.
Yes.
And real quick for the residents, I'm going to read just the bullet points that highlight this project.
Sure.
Removal of existing pumps and replacement of 3 dry pit submersible pumps at the Florence Pump Station. Removal and replacement of control panels with multi-smart controller, auto dialer for alarms for both Florence and Maplewood pump stations. New level transducers and float switches, including high-level floats at the Florence Pump Station. Relocation of outlet piping from access hatches and replacement of access hatches at all 3 floor levels at the Florence Pump Station. miscellaneous metals replacement of the wet well at the Florence Pump Station, miscellaneous electrical and lighting improvements at the Florence Pump Station, renovation of the heating and ventilation system at the Florence Pump Station, and bypass pumping of sewage during the replacement of pumps at the Florence Pump Station. That's pretty much what the project entails for the residents, so they understand what's going on. Much needed repairs, updates. Okay, Council, you good to move that to C?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. The next item is the engineering for this repairs and inspection.
See.
See.
A couple questions first.
Okay.
Training is included.
Yes.
Which is fabulous. However, what about future employees? Is there going to be a training manual?
Yes, there is. That cost also includes the development of an operations and maintenance manual that will be given to the city.
Okay, because that's something we've always been lacking in
Yes.
DTS. They
I
get
know
the
that
training
was-
and then there's no follow-up for new employees.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then the construction observation and inspection, that's $20,000. Can you go into a little in-depth on what exactly that is?
That's set up for, it's $464 a day, an 8-hour day for an inspector to be on site. So that's set up for 45 days, which I'm gonna guess it's gonna come in much under 45 days. A lot of the work that'll take place will probably be spot inspected. We won't need a full-time inspector out there for certain items of work. That's basically a worst-case scenario for 45 days. I'm gonna guess it might be more like 25 to 30 days worth of inspection time on that site.
Okay, so that figure is a high estimate.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that is invoiced to the city on an hourly rate, so.
Also, I see your construction administration costs are $9,100. Think we could get that down just a little bit?
We can work on that. That's based on 2.5% of the construction cost. And again, that's billed at an hourly rate as well, so that's at a not-to-exceed cost.
I think 2% would be $7,300.
Yes.
But if you could work on that a little bit,
Yep.
that would be
we can do that.
appreciated.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Good for C? Okay, item 4, emergency sewer repair. I believe this is for Dawson, correct, Chief?
Yes. That's correct, Your Honor.
This is bid documents for that emergency project.
Yes, this is for the repair design only, not for the actual repair. And this is the area of Dawson and Brant where our televising of the sewer system revealed a
Major problem.
a disastrous condition.
Okay.
You want me to
C?
explain that a little further, I guess, as far as
Go
that time? Basically, we're about 50% done with the S2 grant project, cleaning and televising the sewers. Recently, we found a 360-foot section of Dawson Avenue just west of Middle Belt that's in very poor condition. I did bring some photos that I can pass along to you of that sewer. Basically, we're looking at replacing that sewer as part of this project. So what I'm asking for tonight is to proceed with a topographical survey and geotechnical analysis, followed by the design of replacing that 360-foot section of sewer, as well as putting together specifications that would be called an emergency sewer repair program, so that if we find additional sewers during the remainder of the sewer cleaning and televising program, and that those sewers need to be replaced as well, I can come back to council to get approval to design that those additional sewers. However, we'll already have specifications in place as well as unit pricing where we can add that to the contract as a change order.
So that total price, that's with, excuse me, all of the, contingencies in there also?
Yes.
$156,000,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that go, but
Mr.
right
Mayor,
away.
If I may, and please, Mr. Kern, correct me if I'm wrong, I also believe that this will qualify. Part of the S2 grant, the requirement was that if we found a problem that needed to be corrected, that we as a city were committed to correcting it.
Yes, correct.
This will meet that requirement.
Yes.
If I may, I know you had showed us the pictures already because you kind of pre-warned us that this would be, either that or Jack did, that this would be coming to us. Question on the homes in the area. We're going to be taking the sewer system down. Are they still gonna, I know this question is gonna come up, so are they still gonna be able to flush their toilets and?
Yes, there's 7 homes that are tapped within that segment. The existing sewer will remain in service until we put the new, we'll put the new pipe in next to it. And then once we get the new pipe in, we'll connect it. So
Okay.
there will be no disruption in service.
Okay, and I know that this is some 364 feet, I think it is?
Yes.
And it was out of the realm of our staff doing. Now, and I read here in that, I know if it's a smaller section, our staff will be taking care of it. If it's a, I don't know where that cutoff is, where our crews take care of it and where we put a change order in. So can you
I guess that would be up to Jack's staff as far as what they can handle. We've had 3 other locations so far where we found collapsed pipe. Those other 3 locations were a small 10-foot or less section that the city was able to handle replacing. So where that cutoff is, I guess I'm not sure. That would be up to the Public Service Department to
So if somebody from staff could let us know, you know, how we're gonna determine, are we gonna treat it as a change order that's gonna go to the contractor, or our crews are gonna do it, so that we're all on the same page. I mean, one day it might be 10 foot, the next day it might be 50 feet. You know, where's the, and I think this would probably be more for Jack.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Move it to C.
Yep.
Okay, item 5, Bach and Lathers Avenue Reconstruction Design Services.
See?
C?
Wait, we need to talk about sidewalks on this one.
5?
Because it's in here again, under both. Sidewalk ramps, no problem.
Somewhere that
but-
don't currently exist.
But we've got bullet point number 4 and 5. Existing sidewalks found to be in poor condition would be removed and replaced, and then right below that, sidewalk would be installed where sidewalk currently does not exist. And that's in both projects, and I don't have a problem with the projects, and I don't have a problem doing sidewalks. However, and this I don't think is so much for you, it's going back to putting the cost of those sidewalks, if we don't pull it up, if we don't damage it, our rule of thumb has always been, if the homeowner wants to do it, they can get with the contractor, they can do it. We could even set up, if they want to put in a full sidewalk, that, you know, we can bill them specifically, the homeowner, but not to put the cost of somebody else's sidewalk in the whole project and spread that price out throughout the whole project. I've had this problem with the last project. I have this problem with this project. Every other homeowner in town, we have asked, if there's something wrong with their sidewalk, they've had to pay 100% out of their pocket, not their neighbors.
Well,
And it's almost kind of like putting in the second meter. That cost is going to go to the neighbors, and I don't.
Well, I'm in
think
total
that's right.
agreement as far as the sidewalk goes, except for like the handicap ramp with a duplicated.
Yeah, that's something we
you know,
have
those-
to do.
That has to be
Yeah,
updated
that
to
has
ADA
to-
standards.
But
yes.
like in front of your home, that's up to you to pay for. Simple as that, that's the way it's always been.
Mayor?
Ms. Lynch?
I agree with Mr. Kerwin's statement, it's up to them to pay for it, but it shouldn't be up to them whether it needs to be replaced or put in.
Oh, we'll tell
No,
them
we'll
if it
tell
does, yeah.
them.
Right. Just wanted to,
Yeah,
And just so the residents know, one side of the street is getting all torn up for the water main, so one side of the street is getting all new sidewalk as part of the project, because we're tearing their sidewalk up. So it's the other side of the street, if they got any heaving or whatever,
they'll be marked.
well, I'm assuming either our inspector or your inspector will go out and mark it, and they'll have, that's the way it's been for years, so many days or weeks, months to repair it, and if they don't, we'll
Well,
have it done and bill
the
it.
question to
That's something we
Hennessy,
can do at any
is,
time.
do you have, because when I look at the itemization, it's showing the removal of the sidewalk, and removal of driveways, which a lot of it you have to do, no matter what.
Right.
The cost of putting the sidewalk and the driveways back in. But I guess the question in here is how much of this is non-existent sidewalk and how much of this is sidewalk that needs to be repaired that we're not going to be touching. on the opposite side of the street that are heaved and cracked?
I believe it's, as far as deficient sidewalk to be removed and replaced, I believe it's estimated at 50%, which is roughly about what it was on Harrison Avenue. As far as new sidewalk, where sidewalk does not exist, Bach is very similar to Harrison, where it's probably about 30 to 40% of the street does not have sidewalks. On Lathers, the only location is on the north end on the west side where there's the parking lot. I believe it's a church that does not have sidewalk. Other than that, all of Lathers has sidewalk.
And this is just my opinion, and there's 7 of us up here, but when you do this major of a project, it's time to update. And I think the ones that don't have sidewalks need to have sidewalks. You're forcing kids on bikes when they're riding down the sidewalk, and now it's grass, they go out into the street, they could get hit by a car, handicapped people, people walking around the block with their dogs. It's 2013, and the grandfather clause comes off when you do a 40-year project like this. When we're updating with new water mains, new street, it's time for everybody to have a sidewalk. That's the way I feel.
The grandfather clause doesn't come off. However, I mean, if the property owner wants to, at their expense, put one in, just like we've made other people, by all means, but that sidewalk shouldn't be put there on the cost of all the other neighbors. That's the thing.
I'm not saying it should be put on the cost of the neighbors, but they should have to put a sidewalk.
Or fix the sidewalk.
Fix, definitely. Have to, we're gonna have to change some ordinances.
Mr. Fetter?
I agree with a little bit from all of you, but not 100% from many of you. One side of the road of the construction project, if there's a sidewalk or not, is being torn up.
It's being torn up and we're putting it
Okay.
back.
Most likely it'll be torn up with the water main replacement.
Okay, so as we go through the project, that side of the road is going to get all new concrete for sidewalks.
Yes.
And driveways.
That cost
Yes.
is going to be figured into the total project.
Right.
So whether you're on that side or the other side, you're going to pay for it. Correct? When we do the sidewalks,
We're tearing
the
it up.
assessments,
Yes.
Good point.
we
No,
do the
we're
assessment.
tearing it up.
If you're on the good side, let me call it the good side and the bad side's being tore up. Not saying the condition of the street is bad, but it's being tore up. So if you're unlucky enough to be on the bad side, after you make it through the mud and the grud and everything and it's done, you're gonna get a brand new sidewalk and approach. I know the approach is a little different. If they have gravel, we're gonna charge them for it. So but basically, if that part of it is $50,000, everyone's gonna be assessed for that $50,000, whether you're on the good side or bad side.
The difference
Now
is
we
we
look,
tear it
hang
out.
on,
We
now
tear
we
it
look
out,
at
that's
the
the
good
difference.
side, and we're gonna be marking, I would assume, some homeowners because the sidewalks are heaved. But we're gonna make them pay for that themselves, even though they're paying for the people on the other side of the street in the assessment. When we have a major reconstruction project, this is not the time to where we divvy up who did what. The majority of the cost, I would assume, is on the bad side because everybody has to have it, compared to the cost of every third or whatever that number is on the good side. Why should the people on the good side, when we go by and mark their squares, have to pay in their assessment for the people across the street and pay for theirs separate? If you're lucky enough not to have anything marked, God bless you, maybe you can talk to us and you want it new anyway. Okay, maybe that could be an option.
Sure.
They may want to upgrade it since they're getting the assessment. I don't think it makes that much difference if the Fetters want theirs done and there's 4 squares and if it's not done, okay? I don't think this is the time where we need to worry about who's having what done. If it's being done, as the mayor said, everybody has to be upgraded and be the same in the city. When we're tearing up one, we do the other, and everybody gets assessed according to their footage on the road. and be done with it.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Let's do both sides.
We're picking on people if we do it any other way.
We're not picking on people, we're just doing it as we've done throughout the rest of the city.
Then it's wrong. You did it
all
wrong.
the Midtown projects, we did
You did it
almost
wrong,
half of the
Jody.
city.
You did it
This
wrong.
is how the
Maybe not
contract's
you,
made.
but while I'm here, it's wrong.
And if a person wanted, I mean, a lot of people had brand new
If they want
driveways.
driveways, that's different, as we did on Harrison.
Right.
We'll quote them a price while they're out there and let them get a brand-new
Well,
driveway.
you said in the price 50% is
But
for.
when it comes to sidewalks, I don't want to
Existing
distinguish, I don't want the guy on the good side having to pay for across the street and then pay extra for his, out of his pocket. That isn't right.
I'd say any sidewalk replacement comes out of the project, they're gonna get
Correct.
assessed,
Yeah.
they're gonna pay for it. through the
Correct.
assessment.
Right, exactly.
So
And this would be a good chance for the neighbors who have an aged sidewalk but is decent, but starting to chip, to say, hey, I'm paying anyway.
Yep.
Let's do mine for $200 and split it out of 48 neighbors or whatever's on the block, which would be just dollars to each person. And they're gonna end up with brand-new concrete, just like their neighbors are, so their life expectancy is gonna go beyond what it would be if they kept it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good point.
We still need to change ordinances then, because there's no ordinance that addresses this. Our ordinance says for new subdivisions, that's when a
But we
homeowner
as a
has to
council are
put in.
gonna approve this project, and we can approve it that way.
Yes.
If this is the course of action, then we need to change our ordinance to follow this then.
We can do that.
Because as of right now, the way the ordinance reads, if you have a sidewalk where something is broken, needs to be replaced, it is up to the homeowner, unless the city comes through and breaks it. If we do it, if we pull it up, we have to replace it.
Right.
If it's something where needs to be replaced and the city's not even touching it, the homeowner has to.
We can ask the
Everybody
city
else.
attorney, because we're coming through with a major project, so that may not, that ordinance may not
I don't
apply
think
to
it
this.
does.
Ms. Lynn?
Mayor, as we
And
learned
then-
in the Maplewood
I wasn't
project.
done. And then for anybody that didn't have a sidewalk, if a new home was built in a subdivision, that's where it calls for a new sidewalk required to be put in. Other than that, it's not required. So that's where we have to change our ordinances.
If it's in a
you're-
subdivision.
If you're in a subdivision, right?
And if I
you're
could
going
say,
to-
Mayor, Mr. Pistor and Mr. May are both here. I was on a planning commission for 14 years, and I know we had a lot of talks about that, but these fellows here could give you the answer if you want it.
Yeah, because that,
They're sitting
we
right
have
here.
to change ordinances to match with this type of project. If this is how we're going to go from this point forward, we're gonna have to change them.
Ms. Lynn?
But as we learned with the Maplewood project, they could not petition against sidewalks if we decided sidewalks were going in.
Correct.
They could not petition against them.
Correct.
So that means that we have the right to go through and put them in.
Correct.
We have the right with the approving the project. That's what I thought, yeah.
C.
See?
See?
Okay. Okay, we're on city manager search discussion. At this time, if there's any candidates that are going to be interviewed in the next 2 nights in the audience, we're going to ask that you please step out. And Chief, can we ask you to step out since you're one of the candidates?
Certainly, Your Honor, except you, yes, you'll call me back in for
We'll call you
item
back in.
7.
We'll come and get you.
Call me maybe.
Sit by your phone. Okay, Council, I think we just want to mention the question number, not read the question, but I think we're up to 18 questions, and a lot of them are pretty identical. So I think we need to eliminate a few that are pretty much the same question. So we can just talk question number.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Fetter?
I'm sorry, Jody,
No,
would you
go
like to
ahead,
go?
ahead.
I'd like us to look at question 6 and question 7. They're both very good questions, but I think they come pretty close to each other. And in the explanation of 6, we might get answer 7. How do we feel about maybe combining
Yeah,
them
come on.
I would combine them.
somehow, or just
Yeah.
doing away with one? I mean, it doesn't matter to me. One of them's my question. I don't mind giving it up, but
You
They
sure?
could be combined.
Just combine
Easily.
you want to
Combine.
combine them?
Yeah.
How would, okay, so without going through it,
At the end
I
of
have a
it.
lot of faith in Ms. Bettis.
Combined 6 and
Just
7.
combine them somehow and it'll be fine. You have our blessing today, so. All right. And one more, question 5 and 8.
5 and 8.
Yeah.
5.
Do you see where they could somehow
Just throw it
be?
in, along 5 in with 8, absolutely.
We're gonna
Well, one
incorporate
has to
5
do
into
with,
8?
with the actual department, and
Right.
one has to do with, how do I say?
Yeah, but if you think about the status here,
Well, you
if you,
could ask
if you, if
questions.
you look at, if you look
Operations,
at question 5,
Put a comma after it, and then go to 8.
everybody is here. You know what I mean? There's no one else.
Maybe we need to get a little more in-depth on number 5 then, as far as,
You could ask the question, put a comma after it, and then go right to 8.
Well, if you look at 8, it says et cetera. Why don't we just add that word after the last word and then say that and then say et cetera, dot, 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 dot. I mean,
So you want to take the
I
last-
think do away with 5 and just
so you want to
add,
take the last 2 words of 5 and add them to 8?
yeah.
Correct.
And it would create an open-ended question, which would mean the candidates would have to take time to explain all those different facets.
I think that's a good idea if we
Okay.
just take those last 2 words of 5 and add.
Yeah.
So get rid of question 5 and just put those 2 words on the number 8.
Yes, sir.
And Mayor,
Ms. Squire?
number 4 and 13,
13's the one,
What's that?
it's the one that was cut off.
Yeah, 13 is the one we
Yeah.
had to get the revision on.
Oh, we can just do away with when they're the same thing.
There.
Right. Which
Get
one
rid
you
of
want to get
4.
rid of, 4 or
Yeah,
13?
get rid of
Oh,
4.
I don't care,
All
flip a
right, let's
coin.
get rid of 4.
4.
Yeah.
Ms. Pettis, you get rid of number 4, please?
And actually, number 14 could be the second part of number 13 very easily. Because one just should
Yes,
lead
yes.
right into the rest of it. Shouldn't have to be a separate question.
yeah, you're right.
I don't
I'm sorry,
understand number
that's,
14,
that's,
actually.
that's an error on my part. If you recall the email that I sent you, when I sent you those, there's another
There's more to this
question
one?
on top of that.
Okay.
Oh, and I bet I
Okay.
know what the question is. I think we can read it by the other half.
You recall what that is, right?
Yes, it had to do with divisions.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I apologize, that's
No, you're fine.
cut off.
So we're keeping 13 and 13?
It sounds that way.
1, 2, 3.
Number 9 and 10, I like the questions, but I'd like it to just drop out management and let's know what the top and the bottom are. How do I say this without saying
Yeah.
a question? This is really hard.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
9 and 10,
Take out the
strike
last
out
word of
management.
number 9 and 10.
It,
Okay, wait a minute.
Thank
either
you.
that or it could be written a little differently.
I don't like number 17. I don't know whose question it is.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think we could take that out.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Just do away with that.
Take number 17 out, please, Alice.
Okay.
Eliminate it.
We need to add though we need to add one for the out-of-state. How are they going to get up to speed with Michigan law?
Well, you need to submit that other than here
What was that, Jody? I didn't hear.
to Allison. And why don't
Well,
you
yeah.
CC us?
But all candidates are supposed to be asked the same
Same
question.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
These two, we can't, I mean,
That's just part
It's
of
gotta be
accepting the
asked.
job. If they get it, they're gonna have to get up to speed.
Yeah.
that's right.
But you can't ask the separate
No,
questions.
you can't. That's true.
That's a
We
big
all gotta
one.
be asked the same exact questions. Also, while we're talking about the candidates, council members, it's an open meeting at the Maplewood Center. However, I think we need to ask the interviewees to be placed in a separate room down the hallway, and then as we call them in, because whoever goes first is at a disadvantage, because if I'm the second or third interview and I'm in the room, I'm hearing all the questions.
And
I
I'm
got-
writing
I
down
got
my
more time to
answers.
think up a better answer, so they should not be able to be in the room. Once we call them in and interview them, then
They
they
can
can
stay.
they can stay in the room because they've already been interviewed.
Agreed,
But we should
100%.
call the candidates into the room have a separate room for them to sit in.
I will arrange for that, sir.
Does everybody agree with
Yeah.
that?
I have no problem with that, but you're still gonna have an advantage for people on the second day over the people on the first day.
No, because if they're gonna be interviewed first or second day, they don't go in while questions are being answered.
Yeah, but they can send a representative
But
that
once they
that
have
notes all
been
the
in-
questions. I saw that happen in school board interviews for superintendent.
Well, all we can do is try to be the, do it the best we can. It's not on TV.
That's right.
And if we find that somebody has done that,
If they're giving canned answers, I think all of us would be able to tell.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
We just gotta
They
try to do
answer too quick.
the right thing best we can.
Yep.
And it's not fair to have
And in the
candidates
past,
in the room.
we've never had that problem in the past. They've
No.
always been, listened and been very upfront.
Okay.
School boards are different.
Any other discussion on Mr. Fetter?
Well, I'm done with the questions. Are we done with combining questions, or are we still on that?
I think so.
I think so.
If I counted right, there's 14, which means 2 per person.
Oh, I'm not worried about
14
how many
total?
I asked, but. Are we gonna have anything there, a podium or anything, to allow the public to ask any questions or make comments?
Yeah.
Why?
It's up to us to hire.
No, I understand, but they, per charter and the Open Meetings Act, they
We'll
have
have
their
public
right.
comments.
Well, we're
public
not putting,
comment
we're
in the
not putting a
beginning.
motion out on the floor.
No.
Because
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna
just
be
conducting
interviewing.
it.
But they have a right to ask a question or make a comment.
When a motion's on the floor.
No, as we interview the candidates.
No, not to the interviewee, no.
Why not?
I don't feel comfortable with that.
To us, yes.
Oh, ask questions of us?
After
mean-
it's over, there can be a time or.
But not to them.
Before, no.
All right, then what I'd like then to cover ourselves is, I know it starts tomorrow night. We ask the city manager to contact our attorney and get it in writing regarding that? Not verbal, writing? That
What's the question?
according to what I read in the charter in the Open Meetings Act, the citizens have a right to approach and ask the candidate a question.
Okay, so you want me to ask them?
Yes, and
If you're
if we
understanding.
do, fine. If we don't, why not? And I'd like it in writing,
Okay.
okay?
And this is just in the interview process, not once a motion is put out on the floor, because then they have the right to
Right.
come up and ask whatever they
Right.
want, so.
When we interview each individual person, part of that interview process would be anybody who wants to come up and ask a
Right,
question.
right.
I'll ask.
Okay, good.
Let me
Have them
ask
put it in
another
writing.
Yes.
Yeah, just so we know.
question, Mayor.
I will let them know.
How, there's been no talk as far as I know, how are we gonna do this? We're gonna rate them, each person. Are we gonna wait till Wednesday night, or are we gonna rate them Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and then talk about it again? Or how are we gonna do this?
We might wanna have somebody come in for a second interview. We
Right.
don't know yet, you know?
I say we have Allison total them up
Okay.
and put it in our packet for our next Monday meeting, have this discussion on the B agenda again.
Okay.
Do we want to, maybe whoever came in first and second, do we want to do a second interview with them? Do we want the city attorney to draft up a contract?
Okay. So we don't have to do anything at this time?
Yeah,
then?
we'll just ask her to
Okay.
total them up.
Okay.
And put it in our packet for our Monday meeting.
And we're gonna turn in our score sheets after each candidate. or-
Right after the
at end.
candidate, they go right down to Allison, she totals them up, and she'll notify us of all the scores.
And you're gonna provide us with 4 copies for tomorrow night of the questions?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you.
If I can ask, we've only done just kind of the initial background check. If it comes down to, let's say we've got 3 people that are 1 and 2, is that the time that we want to do the full background check? Before we might bring them in for a second interview or start having discussions with them? When do we want it, or do we want to wait till we have it narrowed down to 1 person?
It's my understanding, and I'm not sure, but I believe that the full background check has been done
It
on
has.
all of them. I have requested transcripts from all of them, and I, as directed by council, am doing the references that they provided.
But also, you couldn't do the criminal.
No, but that has been done.
Okay. He's shaking his head back there. Okay.
And
Okay.
Thank you.
if I may, I want to go back to Mr. Fetter so I understand. citizen can come up, what you're asking is, Joe Blow, we just interviewed him.
Right.
Now the citizen comes up and asks us questions or the interviewee?
No, the interviewee.
Okay, but then this goes to, each candidate's got to be asked the same question.
From the council.
From us, not from them, and we can't be held responsible for what the
But we're
public
still
asks
taking
either.
those answers into consideration of whether we're going to hire this guy. And you didn't ask the other
We wouldn't be
candidates.
scoring.
We
but
wouldn't
we'd
be
hear the
scoring on
question.
that.
You'd hear the question. and
Yeah,
response,
we
so
would just score per question
hear what
according to our
somebody's concern
sheet
is, you
here, and we would not be adding their question. For instance, question 1 has your score here, and you're gonna put that down, I would assume, after he answers question 1, right?
Yeah,
Then you
okay,
go
I'm
to
just
2.
trying to understand.
Yeah,
where you're
no,
going.
this is, it is
All
not
right.
part of the process. It's just when the candidate is done, if anyone has a question of that candidate, they can come up and address it then, and then we go on to the next candidate.
Okay,
That would not be part of our process.
okay.
But you know
But it would.
how that wouldn't really work? Say that Joe Citizen comes up, and he's there Wednesday night, but he didn't make it Monday.
It doesn't
So-
matter.
Well-
It's their right. I'm not saying it works or doesn't work, and it's not part of our process. It's not being used because we're going to score after each question.
Right.
When we get to the end of the 14, we're
It adds
done.
up, yeah.
And then if someone raises their hand and wants to come up, that's on them.
Ms. Lynch?
Yeah, we got nothing.
I believe that the way the charter is written, that the public has the right to come up to speak to council.
Okay, well, that's what I say.
Right,
Let's
rather
wait
than
until we
an
can debate it
interview.
all
Now,
night,
do
but
you
let's
mean-
just ask.
Just so I know, not after each person, after that evening.
Right.
Public comments at the end of the night, end of the night.
Okay.
We got to offer public comments at every open meeting.
Right.
So after we've done the interviews each night, then public
Well-
comments, they can come up and make,
Let's ask for the attorney's opinion. I'd like it in writing. And then whatever he says, since there's no time, we go with.
okay.
Just FYI, on the agenda, public comment is at the beginning of these particular meetings.
Okay.
And then
That's true. Okay, you're right.
the charter, unless it's someplace else in here, Article 3, City Manager, 3.01, Appointment Qualifications Compensation. The council shall appoint a city manager for an indefinite term and fix his compensation. The manager shall be appointed solely on the basis of his executive and administrative qualifications.
It's not the section I'm speaking
Which
of.
section are you speaking of?
207.
207, okay.
And again, this is all for naught, Jody. I mean, I appreciate your input.
Oh, no, no,
But we're
no.
going to go by what the attorney said, so I'll be honest with you, why we're spinning our wheels on this now, I don't know. Because
We'll get an answer. from the
we
city
just
attorney.
need an answer from the attorney and go on from there. Whatever way the coin comes down is what we're going to go with.
Okay. We done on the,
Jody's looking at something.
we'll get the answer from the city attorney. Let's call the,
No, that's what I mean.
yeah, give him a call. Call him back in.
Well, he's in his office, we could just.
Well, I texted him.
If he doesn't show up, we'll have to send a representative.
Okay,
He's probably watching this on TV.
yeah.
No, he promised he
Said I'd
wouldn't.
text, come back.
He promised he wouldn't.
Okay, item 7, participation in the DTE LED Conversion Program for 2002.
We have to wait for the chief for this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Why don't you go down to 8?
Okay, we want to come back to that one?
Yes.
Where are we at now?
We need the chief on that one.
8, what's the?
Okay, we're going to go to item which was asked to be placed on here by Mr. Fetter, 8-2A.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I was somewhat mistaken, unless someone has comment on it. We're letting it go to C.
The appointment for Kerry Parton to the
Yeah.
Commission on Aging.
Yeah.
Okay, go to C?
Go to C.
We missed this one.
No, we did
No,
that.
we're waiting
Oh,
for the
okay.
chief to come back.
Because that's his.
So 8, we're moving to C. B8, we're moving to C?
If that's okay with everybody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back to number 7, DTE LED Conversion Program.
Your Honor, Counsel, you'll recall I came to you several months ago to discuss trying to improve our bang for the buck on our street lighting and the special assessment that the citizens were paying. At that time, Of the over 1,800 streetlights in Garden City, we identified a little over 500 that could benefit from relamping with new LED lighting, a significant benefit at that time. I believe I originally proposed to you, or discussed with you, those 500 lamps at a cost of about $200,000 with a payback that would be a little over 4 years. We've engaged in further conversations with DTE. They've been extremely cooperative. They have upped our energy optimization rebate to $58 per lamp now, which is a considerable improvement over the first and second offers. We've also, through the timing, we're eligible to take advantage of a special program that will pay for the labor on the relamping of 200 lamps. So after looking this over and looking at what we could bear, I thought maybe we should gear back what I had originally presented to you, the slightly over 500 lamps, to 200 lamps, so we could take full advantage of the discount being offered us. These 200 lamps will cost $68,400 to relamp. From that, we can immediately deduct $20,000, which is a contribution from DTE. That's $100 per lamp. That's the labor cost. We can also deduct a rebate of $58 per lamp from DTE. So that's another savings of $11,600. That brings us down to $36,800 for 200 new lamps.
36,800?
Yes, ma'am, 36,800. I must not have made the correction in yours. I did make an error. DTE projects that those 200 lamps with this new LED lighting will generate a savings of over $22,000 a year just on those 2,000 lamps in energy costs and maintenance.
22,000, did you say?
Yes, ma'am. 22,488 is the figure they are quoting.
That's amazing.
For 200 lamps.
For 200 lamps.
That's amazing.
So I think that's pretty significant. What I'd like to ask council to do is move this to C to authorize this participating in this DTE LED conversion program.
Yes.
At an expense of $36,800, despite what the memo says.
And
I have the right one.
Those
Is-
mercury
yeah.
vapor lights burn a lot of juice, so this
Is it gonna be
this pays for itself over time in energy savings.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be in one specific area, no. We're going to select several areas. See, this is the reason why it wasn't on your original agenda, is I was waiting for some last minute numbers from DTE. We have not had time to sit down and discuss exactly where it's going to go, but I certainly would hope that, well, I wouldn't support it that we put up one on Ford Road and one on Bach and one over on Pierce.
Yeah, because that wouldn't really.
That wouldn't be my plan. So we will try to address them neighborhood-wise as we do this.
Just move it to C.
And then where's the money coming from?
Money will be coming from the Street Lighting Assessment Maintenance Fund.
Thank you.
Okay, move it to C.
Yep. Can I make one comment? Chief, you're amazing. This is something that you started fresh when you took over. This is unbelievable what you've accomplished with this. I truly mean it. If I wore a hat, I'd tip it to you. This is exactly what our citizens asked in 2011 when we passed our first lighting assessment. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that they didn't want to pay it. It's what are we doing to stop it in the future? The process he had to go through, everybody, is absolutely amazing that he made it through, and in such a short period of time. And to even start with 200, thank you, kudos a lot, Chief.
Because he doesn't mess around, he just goes in. Some people at home may not understand how big this is. This is huge in our city, so we listen. He listens. He listened to us. We listened to you. He listened to us. He did it. And if we listen to very key words that the chief administrator, how shall I, of everything, has said, he has made it very clear that his goal is to get it so there isn't an assessment. That's his goal.
So I mean, we're talking
Someday.
$20,000 worth of savings now with 200, and that's ongoing, so.
But now also,
That's-
by putting improvements in, we're actually following what the law states, that you
Right.
have to do improvements. Where in the past, it was just for money coming in. Now it's actually.
So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And just so the residents know, there's 1,862 streetlights in the city, 1,862. So this is going to start off replacing 200 of them with LED. So it's a start. Hopefully, we'll get them all replaced someday and save energy.
And then get the county to replace theirs.
Yep. Okay. We will move on to the C agenda. First item is C1.
Mayor?
Ms. Lynch?
I move to approve the purchase of a folder inserter sealer machine from the lowest bidder, Pitney Bowes of Farmington Hills, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $12,108.89.
Support.
Support for Mr. Jones. Discussion from council. From the general public.
Now I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
The parts and labor in the Pitney Bowes, is that a total payment that under parts and labor warranty, $1,416.95 a year?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Question is regards to the Pitney Bowes bid.
Yes,
One item is parts and labor warranty,
okay,
and their bid includes a figure of $1,416.95 a year.
yes.
Now, that's not part of the $12,108.89. Is that just a maximum that we could
No,
be charged as a deductible or something, or?
It's in addition, but it'll be for the subsequent years, because for the Pitney Bowes contract, the warranty is full for the first year,
Oh.
where it wasn't with the others.
Thank you.
Okay, from the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C2.
Mayor?
Mayor?
Ms. Dodge?
I move to award the construction contract for the Florence and Maplewood lift station improvements to Lawrence M. Clark Incorporated of Belleville, Michigan, in the amount of $365,000, and to authorize the city manager to sign all necessary documents.
Support.
Support from Mr. Kerwin, and this is paid for out of the water fund for the residents to know. Any discussion from council? From the general public? Ms. Bettis?
Sorry, support was?
Jim?
Mr. Kerwin?
Thank you. Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C3, the engineering for the Florence lift station.
Mayor?
Ms. Squires?
I move to approve the proposal from Hennessy Engineers to provide the necessary construction engineering services for the Florence and Maplewood lift station improvements in the amount of $41,000, and to authorize the city manager to sign all necessary documents.
Support.
Support from Mr. Jones. Discussion from council. From the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C4.
Mayor?
Ms. Lynch?
I move to authorize Hennessy Engineers to prepare bid documents associated with the emergency sewer repair design on Dawson in the amount not to exceed $9,500.
Support.
Support from Ms. Squires. Discussion from council. From the general public. Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C5, Bach and Lathers reconstruction design.
Mayor,
Mr. Jones?
I move to authorize Hennessy Engineers to prepare bid documents for the Bach and Lathers Avenue Reconstruction Design Services in the amount not to exceed $125,950.
Support.
Support from Ms. Lynch. Any further discussion from council? From the general public?
I just come from that, they forget it, there's nothing wrong with that street. That street's okay. I come from that way, they forget it, that is what my street up, beautiful street. But you're gonna spend the money, huh? Is that it? Spend our money, right? Reconstruct the street.
Yeah, we're spending money on the streets, new water mains. Thank you, Mr. Bacco. Anybody else? Mrs. Weissig?
Is this the one about the sidewalk repairs? No, sorry. Because I'm more confused than...
This is Bach and Lathers, which will have...
I just wondering about, if it was about how you're going to reconstruct the sidewalks.
That's part of it.
It's part of it. It's part of the project.
So I thought I knew a little bit about reconstructing sidewalks, because mine was reconstructed and it's now totally underwater. So from all the talk, instead of making it clearer to me how this is done, I am totally confused. I think you talk to each other, but not to the people who want to know, and I'm not in that area, so it's none of my business, but it is so confusing.
I think what the consensus of council was, and correct me if I'm wrong, council, that we're saying that both sides of the street should get new sidewalks. Well, one side's getting all new because of the water main, and any side, the other side that they have heaving will be taken care of as part of the project, because both sides of the street are paying assessments. So any sidewalk that needs repair on the one side will get replaced as part of the project.
Well, if I have a sidewalk and a company comes in and wants to do work and destroys my sidewalk, which was a perfectly good sidewalk, I have to pay to put another sidewalk?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Moeller?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ms. Dodge. You're gonna repair everybody's sidewalk, and I know you say they pay for it, but they don't. The assessment's on the footage of the road, just like I was assessed footage of the road, and I'm sure mine's gonna be the same as it is now. I doubt if it's changed. How much do you assess per linear foot of the road when you do the assessment? I bet it's the same as it was 20 years ago when you did Elmwood. I don't think you changed it any, the price. And if I had to have a sidewalk fixed, I paid, and so did everybody else on Elmwood. You didn't put nobody's sidewalk in. You started that on Maplewood. And if I've got a bad sidewalk, if I had a bad sidewalk then, I paid. I had a driveway, I paid. Now you're taking it out of the road fund and paying for sidewalks. On both sides, you're paying to repair sidewalks. You didn't do that in any other project. And every other project had the same assessment for the road. So it's not right. I mean, you'll probably do it anyway, it's just not right. Now you switched it. On Maplewood, you started switching it. Like I said, you're assessed for the road. You're not assessed for any sidewalk repairs. And everybody else that had roads done in the past paid for their own sidewalk plus the roads. Now you're saying, well, we assess you for the road, so now we're going to give you the sidewalks free. Because you're, like I said, check the records and see if are you assessing more now than you were back when the other roads were done, or are you assessing the same amount per foot of road? If you're assessing the same amount per road, you're doing everybody wrong that you did in the past. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
I don't agree with the sidewalks, but I agree with the project, so yes.
Councilmember Feder?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C7, the DTE LED Conversion Program.
Mayor?
Ms. Dodge?
I move to authorize the city manager to participate in the DTE LED Conversion Program for 2013 at an expense of $36,800.
Support?
Support from Ms. Squires.
And to authorize.
Well, I started out with city manager, so.
Any further discussion from council? From the general public? Mr. Wallace?
It's 4 words. Thanks, Chief. Very good job.
Thank you. Mr. Buckner?
Chief, I don't want to take away from your thunder. Do we give any other estimates on this, or this is just one avenue you went?
This was just one avenue that I went. Detroit Edison, who is the sole source provider of the streetlights in our city.
Okay, because I know there are several companies that does this, and several that I know that does it, they also have a loan program, which is very reasonable. They work with cities, and that's the reason I was asking. Okay. Also, too, my second question is, how much is this going to increase our assessments every year?
It should decrease
In the long run.
in the long run. Well, this will save $22,000.
Mayor?
Ms. Squires?
If I might add, when I was working for Madison Electric, Detroit Edison would come up with these programs because the government does want everyone to go to energy saving, to conserve energy. And they do offer these programs. They've offered them for years, not as good as they are now, but it'll do nothing but good for us as a city. And I know the initial cost is expensive, but the payback is very, very quick.
May I make a comment, Mr. Mayor?
Mr.
I also want to, Mr. Buckner hit a point. We don't want any loans from anybody, guys. We don't want to go farther in debt. We, as a council, have been paying cash on the barrelhead for everything we can. So to get any kind of loan, whether it's 1% or 10%, is not acceptable. Our city is not going to go into debt to improve itself. And this program of the reimbursement, the chiefs come up and the way it's being done just cannot be beat. So if, as far as going with another company and saying they can loan us the money, no, not many of us would vote for it because we're not going into debt. We're trying to climb our way out and be fiscally responsible. And that's we haven't just started, but this is a continuation. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the public? Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Dodge?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. Item C8, which is 2A, the mayoral appointment of Carrie Parton to the Commission on Aging with a term to expire January 9, 2015.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Jones, supported by Ms. Lynch. Discussion from council.
He's already attended a meeting before being appointed and added a lot of valuable input. I'm sure he'll be an excellent member of the Commission on Aging.
Mr. Parton also delivers Meals on Wheels. He works with seniors.
City chat.
So this is a good fit for Mr. Parton. Any further discussion from the public?
It'd be hard to replace the person he's taking the place of, but I'm sure he'll do a good job.
By the way, he's replacing Mike Jones, who had to come off when he became a council member. So that's what created the vacancy. So, Ms. Bettis?
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch?
Aye.
Councilmember Dodge?
Nay.
Councilmember Fetter?
Aye.
Councilmember Kerwin?
Aye.
Councilmember Squires?
Aye.
Mayor Walker?
Aye. We will move on to public comments. For items that were not on the agenda, please come up to the podium, state your name. There is a 5-minute time limit. Mr. Goins.
When you come up, if you would please fill out the appropriate form, if I don't already know who you are.
come or goings.
Yeah.
I have no ill feelings toward anybody in this city or here in this council, nor will I intentionally lie on anybody. I deal with the facts as I see them. Now, you folks have heard me come up here time and time again and compliment this mayor and follow him and tell him how many times have I told him you're driving your ducks to a bad market. Well, and I told him I'm with you till you go up the edge of the cliff, and I'm not going over with you. And after I heard what I heard last Monday night, he drove them ducks over that cliff and went over with them. Not only that, listen to Dave Fetter talking to them attorneys. He said that he had violated the law, violated the laws of the land, and that need to be dealt with. And so I assume that there's going to be a lot coming from that yet. I know that I expect to see a lot more. And so Randy stood right up there. I was at home watching TV, watching him. And he stood there and said that nobody told him to not do that. Now that was about the dumbest thing that I ever heard. The only thing that I have ever heard that would come anyways close to that is back when they was debating that health care bill, and Nancy Pelosi said, let's vote on it, then we'll find out what's in it after we vote on it. So now I've got some things to say. I'm going to be talking mostly to the citizens. And I'm telling you, Randy, if you want to throw me out, you're not hog-tied nor waterbound. Anytime you feel froggy, jump. Now, if you were running this meeting by the Robert's Rule of Order, if I get out of line, you pound that gavel and let me know I'm out of line, get me back in line, and we'll drive on. Now, if you call the police on me, put the law on me, because I'm up here talking, I want you to know one thing. I will put a lawsuit on you and this city longer than 3 weeks of rainy weather. Depending on what the attorney says, I may put one on the police department too. And I want it plain understood that I echo every word that Buddy Wallace said, because J. Lee Lynch got up there and verified that. Now, when the people violate the laws, you can call them many names. And select any name you want. Go ahead and call these people crooks if you want to. I'm not going to do that, not here at this time. So
you got 30 seconds,
deal with
Mr.
that
Gowen.
later. And this is the facts as I see them. And I don't have time to go into the details. But Jonesy, man, you stand treetop tall in my books, and your stock went up considerably because a guy told me that a guy told him about Jonesy and exactly what he'd do, and you substantiated that.
Mr. Goins, your
didn't-
time is up. Your time is up.
And it's a short 5 minutes. But I'll tell you one thing, I won't have time here at this mic, but me and my little red scooter, I have time to hit them parks and the parking lots and they're all around this city.
Mr. Buckner.
Al Buckner. February 11th, the citizens got to witness our city correct the calamity of errors that were performed on January 28th after a rush of judgment resulted in the violation of the city charter, Open Meetings Act, and the state law. Thanks to the faithfulness of Jody Dodge, Dave Freder, Jim Kerwin, for the proper procedure being done correctly to rules of the law, justice was served. It was great for the citizens to see by camera the true colors of the council members. You got to witness council true transparency, which is a rarity with this council. You also got to see their true colors and understand their actions. Being the election year, it's very important to remember their motives and transparency or lack of some. The charade of the previous meeting on the 28th was a very embarrassment to Mr. Jones and our city government, since the formality and procedures were not conducted according to city charter. Some on here have self-serving motives, disrespect to the truth of conducting the rules of the charter or the Open Meetings Act correctly was seen very openly. You have nothing to be ashamed of, Mr. Jones. Your action was honorable throughout the process. I described in the last meeting the detail of an incident of an old loud woman in front of the police station and her provocative approach to my friends and I as we were having a conversation. I'm becoming accustomed to such mindless barroom type happiness since I have become vocal at these council meetings, but never to the extreme that someone will lower themselves to the level of indecency. Some people will show their true character, warped as it may be, to demonstrate strange behavior in moments of weakness. I will finish what I got tossed out last week for my speech. Does anybody care that our city charter, the Open Meeting Act, and Robert's Rules of Order shall always be the forefront of our mind when these meetings are being conducted? Dictatorship has no room in these chambers. Does anybody care when you ask our city leaders how many new businesses have been bought up to shore the tax base over the last 3 years? Instead of the DDA enticing new growth of business for the city in whole, it's wasting tax dollars going away to be trained on how to run a farmer's market. What will they do next? Ask for another pay hike for a seasonal job? Where is the oversight or accountability factor from the CEO? I just wonder how much revenue the farmer's market will generate for the city. I guess if nothing else, it'll help Willie the pig to get a new home after his new facelift. Does anybody care that our Chamber of Commerce is dead? Does anybody care that we pay an outside firm very well to take care of our parks and then supply them with a city truck and trash bags? Does anybody care that our population has decreased, our home values are so bad they may never rebound? And does the caliber of new citizens moving in because of cheap housing make our city better or safer? Does anybody care that our taxes increased last year of $600 or more due to a fire, police millage, school millage, library millage, 3 special assessments, 10% rate hike on water, and another 10% coming? Platt Moran audit said we had approximately $700,000 left in the general fund. They also said the city was charging us for water we didn't use over $1 million. Our leaders are crying wolf to raise our taxes, then brag about having $1.5 million as a cushion for the coming year with millions in the water fund. The water fund in 2012 generated over $10 million in revenue with expenses of only $8.3 million. $1.7 million left over. How come the citizens and the businesses are not getting these back in a credit or refund? To the great citizens of Garden City, be patient for the next 9 months. You will have a chance to elect a new council that will be professional, with strong character, and with integrity, that will bring city government to the people in the form of open door policy and transparency. Together, we can rid our city of its mistakes. Elected officials that do love and will move our city ahead with absolute respect to our charter, Open Meetings Act, and state law. I'm calling all citizens to unite as one, be vocal, be strong, be active, be informed that you and I can make a difference come August and in November. Together, we will make Garden City better for the future. This is what we need to do. Have a managerial audit of the water department. time study assessment of the city, Attorney General investigative of the city business, state audit of City Hall and DPW, a new city attorney. Ms. Allison held accountable for not telling council about the overcharging of the water for
You have
years.
30 seconds, Mr.
Jack
Butler.
also held accountable for his part in the Watergate cover-up. It was once written that a great leader of a city can take the mighty ones, the weak ones, and the humble ones, and mold them into greatness for his cause and the betterment of the city. Come November, we will have such a leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace? Okay. Mrs. Weiss?
Welcome to our council, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
What I read here doesn't pertain to you, but it pertains to our other elected officials, not you. I come before you this evening as a citizen that is concerned about our city and how council meetings are conducted and what was allowed at these meetings. And what was allowed at these meetings to me, they did everything but spit on me. 2 women, city employees, attacked me out in the hall. The DDA person here went by shaking her finger like this in my face for what I have no idea.
Only speak if you're at the podium.
Kept really shaking it in my face, and people behind her had to. Men in the audience have said terrible things about me from both sides of the aisle. People come up and have said very hurtful things. Almost every man that come and spoke for this council said something nasty about me. You didn't do it. Now, everybody sat up there, let them say these things. Now it's coming home to roost. You just sat there at the tee. You thought it was cute till it happens to you. And it was really hurtful to me. I came up here thinking that I had something of importance to say. I know a lot about the city, probably know a lot, forgot as much as any of you know. Another man got up and said, "Who gave her the right to speak?" And I said one word, the Constitution, and was thrown out of the meeting. For saying the Constitution? Why would you care when you don't even obey your own city charter? You don't enjoy, the city charter has a perfect thing on how to hire a city manager. Then it was stated that you didn't know why citizens came up here, maybe to get attention. Does anyone at that table think I need attention from them? From the likes of you? Those 3 girls sitting at that table, I have nothing in common with them. Nothing. And that I wanted attention? I worked in the women's movement. I got plenty of attention and a lot of statements from men. And plenty of attention from the women too, who only cared about getting attention from men. And the females at the table, I say to you, if the shoe fits, wear it. And the time limits are a joke. It depends on who's talking. And you, Mr. Fetter, know that very well, because you were given a dispensation to talk as long as you wanted before you were sitting on that table. You interrupt sentences. How rude and unprofessional. Here's your own little thing on how to conduct a meeting. Every rule was broken during the city manager's meeting where everybody hooped, booed, hollered, clapped. It was a mob scene out there. Not one of you said anything but because they were speaking for Mayor
You have
Walker,
30 seconds.
Mayor Lynch, and Mayor Pro Tem. And one of the women even said, was hollering, "We have the right to know, we have the right to know." Everybody at that table knew she didn't have the right to know, and not one of you had the courtesy to tell her that. Shame on you. Shame on all of you.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace?
Buddy Wallace, I wanted to go on the record that I don't come up here and talk about your personal life. I know nowhere where anybody lives. I've never been to your house or anything else. But as an elected official, you are subject, and you, Mayor Walker, you want to write this down because you need to talk to your attorney because things are going to happen pretty soon. It's the Attorney General opinion of Michigan, Article 5332, page 38. Read it. Contact your attorney. You have no immunity when you violate somebody's constitutional rights to the rights of somebody. Your immunity is ceased. Neither is the city. There will be some action taken. Now, I got a question. Well, I have a statement. Anybody out there in the audience, you're not going to get your money back for the water. They're always got all kinds of excuses already. But if you want, I can send you some links and you can check every audit in the state of Michigan for every city and every township from 2003 to 2012. And just email me at gardencitybuddy@yahoo.com. I'll send you the links and all you got to do is click on them. But I went and spent about 25 hours when I heard somebody say that there's leaks. Westland's missing money. They're missing water. That is absolutely false. I went and looked at every one of those audits and compared them to all of our neighboring cities. They're building exactly what they paid for from the city of Detroit. I urge you residents, don't let this happen. Don't let them take your money and give you a bunch of garbage. It's not true. Go out and look at the audits that the state has. And they're on the list from 2003 to 2012. And you can check every water department, whatever you want to. And somebody can say, oh, we got leaks, we got this. That's not true. Go and look at the audits. There's not a neighboring city around us, that's not accurate. And I want to say a couple of things. Our police department, they're great. They're great. Not only does the residents of Garden City appreciate you, but you know what? I go and I get compliments. Hey, you're from business people in other neighboring communities and the residents. Your police are great. And I want to thank you for protecting the residents of Garden City. That's the best thing this city's got going for them is our police department. And it's what we need most because without the police department, you're going to have no residents. And thank you very much, all you police people. From the lieutenants to the officers to the detectives and everything, and the chief, you do a great job. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Wysick?
I'd like to start off by saying that I want the council to be reminded and to remind themselves that they took the oath of office to act always in the best interest of the people of the city. That's your utmost consideration. We now have a surplus probably reaching the amount of $4.3 million, 18% plus. No one on this council can defend our having that amount of money as a surplus. A couple of years ago, I asked Westland what their surplus was, 2%. We had 11 at that time, and the council was bemoaning the fact that it was only 11. I remember one year, and I've said it often, we took office. A group of us, you'll recall, we ran for council. There was $5 total when we took office in the contingency fund. That surplus is staggering, and it was built despite the many unwise council decisions that have resulted in the waste of residents' dollars over the past couple of years. The closing and the reopening of the library and all the associated costs with doing that is a prime example. The fight and time spent on the ridiculous attempt to pass a 12 mil proposal is another. Can you picture the huge amount of money we could have if that proposal would have passed? I hope council and our citizens can remember the number of residents who pleaded to council, and perhaps in some cases, some of the women were up here, more appropriately, you could label them as begging council not to take some actions that would result in higher fees to them. One was about $35. Was that the light? $35. You passed the assessment. Now that was taking money out of their children's mouths, clothing, food, medicine, and putting the nail in the coffin as far as possibly saving their home. How much consideration did that affect you when you made your decision? How are you feeling now about those people when you recall them and you have a $4.5 million surplus? What a fact. A large surplus, and you should recall that you are your brother's keeper, and you should treat others as they treat you. Now, I'm going to depart for now before my valuable time is up, but I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be up here in the next few meetings to speak on the conduct of the council versus the residents over the last several months. I'm going to quote some of the things that have been said to the table. And I also would like, even though it's an agenda item earlier, Mr. Buckner asked a direct question about, will it cost in any shape or form assessment costs as far as the light is concerned? There were a number of comments made at the table, but no yes or no answer. As you go around tonight, somebody give a yes or no.
You have 30 seconds, Mr. Weiss.
Is it going to cost us any more money? Yes or no as far as an assessment of these concerned? I'm also going to relate to a number of recommendations that I think council should take under not only consideration, but do. And one of them is the FOIA fee. You pay $1
Mr. Wysick, your time is up.
10 times as much as other cities charge.
Thank you.
$1 versus 10 cents.
Anybody else from the general public?
I thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll be reminds me.
Okay, we'll move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Baco?
How many more years you guys been a DDA? DDA. How many more years do you gonna pay for that boo? DDA.
The lawsuit.
Oh.
Approximately 18, I don't remember off the top of my head.
18 years, you get money back. Rebate.
I can't understand him.
He wants a rebate.
He wants.
I'd like one too, Mr. Bucko.
You never did it. And
Thank you, Mr. Baco. Anybody else from the public? City manager's report.
Your Honor and Council, just a few things tonight. Of course, again, this evening, we've heard about water, and I want to assure Council that there isn't a day that goes by that we're not doing something administratively to try to drill down and find out what's going on. Ms. Bettis can attest to the fact that I make 20 or more trips into her office or into Ms. Baracco's office, who is primarily responsible for managing the water. I'm asking a lot of questions. I get answers that take me in different directions. We are continuing to work on this. We had a meeting scheduled with DWSD for this Thursday. That meeting has to be rescheduled. In the interim, we're pulling records going back some 7 or 8 years that I've been going through. If you were to look at the hurricane that is the top of my desk, about 90% of that is water related, including documents from Mr. Wallace, information from Mr. Buckner. I'm listening to everybody and I'm working on it. I know Council wants some answers on this. Also, I want to point out that we are in the budget process. And I think we're going to have some very informative discussions at this table regarding the budget process. And I think part of the questions that will be answered will have to do with things like the street lighting assessment and whether Council wishes to continue this in view of the present economic situation, or whether Council thinks that there's a way to withdraw from that. I think a number of things we'll be looking at, including the water model and what we're going to assess the citizens. Assess is not the right word, please forgive me. My point here is that we are hearing what's being said, we are working on it, and I think the next few months will be very interesting. It does require a little bit of patience. This water thing, I've spent sleepless nights, sleepless weekends, reading through stuff that makes absolutely no sense to me until it does make sense to me. I agree that and I think Council agrees, we've got to have some answers here, some rock solid answers for our citizens. So I just want to assure everybody that these things are being worked on. Government does not happen overnight. It's not because we're lazy, and it's not because we're inept. It takes time. We have to pull people together, get answers, figure out some new questions, and go back, and it continues to go on. Finally, I want to mention big snowfall tomorrow night. I know Council will be looking forward to that as they conduct interviews at the Maplewood Center. But if you can, I know you'll want to participate in that, but if you can stay off the roads, it's going to be ugly out there as the snow starts to fall at rush hour. So please be careful. Expect a snow emergency in town declared by police and DPS. We're going to wait until we actually see some snow start falling. We learned our lesson a few years ago when we trusted the weathercasters. We won't do that again. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Dodge?
A couple items. First, for the chief, in one of your past city manager reports, you had spoke to us regarding a resident at Cardwell where her light pole and light came down.
Yes.
And did we ever find out what happened with it?
We cannot trace any history of the light being there. We've gone back and looked at maps. We can't find anything. So what happened to the light pole, I don't know. I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm just saying we can't find any record of how it came to disappear or that it even existed. We did talk to DTE about this.
And they didn't have any record either?
They did not.
Okay, but you're still looking at that, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
We've gotten a price from DTE on what it will cost for a lamp in that neighborhood, and now we have to see whether or not the street lighting assessment can bear it without potentially adding additional burden.
Okay. Thank you. Then I want to let council know, I just had a block grant meeting this past Thursday in Trenton. We recaptured over $150,000 from communities that did not use it. Total with some other years is $200,000, and then it might be a little bit higher at the end of June when the final recapturing happens. For staff and council, I'd suggest us put our thinking caps on really quick. We are going to be putting that money out to bid to the communities for shovel-ready projects. So I'm thinking the bathhouse, getting that handicap accessible. This is extra money that all the cities, the 31 communities, will be able to bid on, but the project has to be shovel-ready. So if we can put our thinking caps on, get some designs together, get everything in place, when those bids go out, we might be able to recapture a little more of the block grant money. So I just want to give a heads up, and this just happened last Thursday, so I mean it takes a process to reclaim those monies from the communities and then put the bid out, but I'd be looking at probably June for the bids to go out, maybe a little bit earlier. And then the next block grant meeting is going to be the 31st, no, not 31st, excuse me, the 21st of March. And it will be held here. So since you are now my alternate,
I was going to talk to you about that.
please come and visit and see what we're all about. The actual advisory council meeting starts at 7:30, and then there's a other meeting at 6, and that's for the executive board. And then to the Y6, I'm very sorry for your loss. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Well, Councilwoman Dodge took care of one of my questions, because I was going to point out that I know nothing about community development block grants, and if I'm going to be the alternate, I'd sure like to know when the next meeting was so I can begin to learn. I have a couple other points. One, I'd like to make an announcement that not everybody may be aware of, but on this Sunday, March 3rd, 2 members of our fire department will be raising money for the Lung Association at the Renaissance Center. They will be climbing 70 flights of stairs with 50 pounds of gear on their back. They need $200 apparently, is what I heard on a community chat, to participate. They'd already raised $125 as of Thursday. I'm sure they'd be very open to additional donations. Chief, we'll see if we can't help you out a little bit on that for their sake. As somebody who's had some experience climbing up and down stairs carrying a load, I can't imagine what they're going to do, because my loads are usually more like 15 pounds, and I only go a couple of flights, and I get to stop every so often to make a sale. So this is a tremendous undertaking. It shows you what kind of physical shape our firemen have to be in order to do that job.
You should clarify. Some people don't realize what you're talking about.
It's
your loads.
Oh, yeah, that's just a little summer activity that I participated in for 34 years at Comerica Park and Tiger Stadium before that. And finally, I'd like to propose that the council reinstitute a monthly workshop, perhaps as soon as the budget process is complete. I understand that we're not compensated for workshops, only for official council meetings. However, I think workshops would give us an informal setting in which questions and concerns about future agenda items could be addressed from the council and the community. This would hopefully allow us to deal with agenda items at the regularly scheduled council meetings in a more positive and less contentious venue that would emphasize policy over micromanaging. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Lynch?
Yes. This first answer is for Mr. Wysick on the FOIA copies. I don't have the information in front of me, but I heard several weeks ago that there is a proposed bill up in Lansing, okay, that's supposed to limit the cost on that. So that will come back and be helpful with what you asked about. And talking about losses, I'm sorry for your loss, even though I don't know what it is. We've had way too many losses. Oh, I'm really sorry for your loss, Mr. Wysick. We've had way too many losses in the city of Garden City, let alone just among people that we know. And one other one that I know of is Barbara Jean York passed away on Sunday, yesterday. And sympathy, yes, Dan York's mother, sympathies and condolences to her family and friends. She was a wonderful lady and she really will be missed. So if we could do anything about losses, I know all of the council would jump right on that one because we've had way too many lately. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Ms. Bettis?
Just a couple of things. One, the Garden City Relay for Life, the annual event that has raised upwards of $100,000 for cancer survivors and their families here in Garden City, is going to start its kickoff event, which is Thursday, March 21st at Farmington School at 6:30 p.m. So that's Thursday, March 21st at 6:30 p.m. And for anyone who is interested in participating, both those who have participated before and those who would like to participate for the first time, it's a good event to learn about what Relay for Life does and how you can be a part of it. On that note, the Checkmate team, one of the teams for the Relay for Life, is sponsoring a fundraiser for those of you who need pie for perhaps Easter dinner or just because pie is good. We are providing pies at the Grand Traverse Pie Company, and it's a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society, and through the Relay for Life. And you can approach us and get a certificate for one of their marvelous pies, and they have a wide variety. And then we'll give you a certificate, and you can go pick up the pie that you want, put flour all over your face, and pretend like you made it. And all that for the benefit of the Relay for Life and for the American Cancer Society. I just do want to make sure that all of the residents are aware that the water fund the water and sewer fund is operated so that it is only for the benefit of its users. And so therefore, any excess that is in the fund, when there is excess, only serves to reduce the costs going forward, or at least make those costs go against any increases that we get in the future. Every penny goes to the water fund. If there are additional pennies, they go to the water fund. If there aren't sufficient pennies, then the rates have to be raised so that they benefit the water fund. It is state law. It is also the way we've operated as a city, of course, forever. And so we, as the city manager says, we are doing everything that we can to make sure that we find out what is causing the water gain that was reported. But whatever that water gain is, it only will benefit the users of that system. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kerwin?
Yes, sir. I would I'd like to offer condolences to Dan York on the loss of his mother. And, you know, the cops, they usually get a pretty bad rap. And this is quite a guy we got here, it's Lieutenant Zimmer. But it's not about him, it's about his brother. My grandson calls the police the other night because he was at his girlfriend's house and the old timer across the street backed in and smashed his door in. So he calls the police. They said, would you like to come in and make a report, or would you like us to come out? He goes, come on out, you know? So the police came out. I guess it was Lieutenant Zimmer's brother. And he goes, oh man, he said, that's too bad. So he says, you know what are you doing on the weekend? And Danny said, well, he says, give me a call. He says, I'll come over and help you pull it out and fix it for you. I mean, that's first class. Really is. You don't hear good stuff like that very often. So I think that's very nice. It's very commendable. And other than that, that's about all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Fetter?
Yeah, I have just a few things. I mentioned before how Mr. Kerwin and I are on the board of directors for Nankin Transit, which is the busing system here. I have about 50, 60 cards with the necessary phone numbers for appointments and stuff. I want to reiterate, they'll take you to the grocery store, the doctor's, work, bingo, medical appointments, anything you have, and it's $1. You just have to be a resident of Garden City. There are some minor restrictions. They're not going to drive at Alpena. I mean, if it's vacation time coming up, you're not getting a free bus ride to Alpena. But stop in. I'll give these to the chief or Allison. Maybe they can stick them out. It's limited on the number. But Representative Kanizik also mentioned something. It came up that night, veterans. I don't know if they know. If there's a death of a veteran or a veteran's spouse, if you contact Veterans Affairs, which I understand is in the K. Beard building at the old Eloise complex, and I have the number, you can go back up to 2 years. You're eligible for $1,000, whether you need it or not. My understanding is you don't need to show need to collect on that death benefit. And if there's anybody out there who lost a spouse or a veteran, the spouse of a veteran or the veteran, if it's within the last 2 years, please contact them. You served, you deserve it, and if that benefit's there, please take advantage of it. The number is 734-727-7373. That's 734-727-7373. I also want condolences for Mr. York's mother. It's hard to lose a parent, and my heart goes out to him. And I briefly just want to touch on the budget surplus I've heard from other people. You're going to hear more of it, but keep in mind, if you remember, we looked about 3 years down the road when we did the last budget. It wasn't just a 12-month budget. We projected, I believe, 3 years. It could be 4. We do have a slight surplus, but keep in mind, your assessments are going out. I got mine today. Mine went down. Okay? This money is going to keep us going. It's going to keep the firemen and police that you wanted working to stay on the road. Then, as we looked at, the biggest issue was, as the chief touched on, lighting assessments or trash. The money isn't going to just sit there, and we're not going to keep collecting money till it's millions and millions. It will be used to restore services that have been reduced or cut during budget issues, and that's going to be coming up as a recommendation from the city manager. So keep that in mind. I don't have specifics yet because the process is beginning, but that's why we have, it's working the way we thought it would work and hoped it would work. We hung onto our police and fire. Our emergency services are fully, are okay. They're functional. We have a slight increase. We're going to be able, it looks like, to weather the storm of the further reduction of home values, that hopefully take an upturn the third year which is what we're counting on. And then if there's still money there, we're going to be reinvesting it back into the community. It's not going to be sitting there drawing interest. And also keep in mind that when we planned this, it's only 4 years. Most cities, as you know, when you ask for, when the council, whoever they are, asks for an increase, it's unheard of for council to say, we're going to do it for 4. Normally it's for like 30 years. Or they don't even give a date. They just raise it, and that's the way it is forever and ever. This council didn't do that. We went for 4. We have to make sure we're fiscally responsible and prepared that at the end of that 4th year, we can walk on our own without mom and dad holding our finger, okay? We want to make sure that when you take that reduction of 3.5, we're there. That's why I mentioned about Mr. Buckner and that loan. I don't care how low the interest rate is. We are not going into debt. We are still focused, and we're looking 4 years down the road, because we're a year into it already, folks. We got 3 years left. So I know it's a concern of some residents out there. I've heard it. We've all heard it. Keep in mind, and let me remind you of how we came up with it and why we did. And it's working. You're going to hear more of it in the budget process. But we did not raise your taxes to increase our savings account, okay? So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Squires?
Okay, first of all, congratulations to Carrie Parton on your appointment to the Commission on Aging. Also, my condolences to Dan York and his family in the loss of his mother. And my condolences to the family of Debbie McMullen Upton. She was a Garden City West 1982 graduate. And her mother, Barb McMullen, and sister, Kim McLaughlin, both serve on the Mayor's Committee for Underprivileged Children. Mr. Wysick, also my condolences to you. And to kind of answer your question, yes, there is an initial investment in replacing those bulbs, but there will be a return on investment that is less than 2 years. And it will save money in the long run. And that's all I have.
Thank you. My prayers also go out to the Wysick family and to Dan York on the loss of his mother. We've had far too many losses lately, and it's got to be rough. I had my State of the City speech last Tuesday. Albert's on the Alley at 8:30 in the morning. Packed house. I appreciate everybody that came out. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, it's going to be shown on the community channel. Please watch it. I gave a lot of statistics. In the speech, when I got to the police department part of it, I talked about several armed robberies that we had in 2012, and that every one of those that I mentioned, they were caught, arrested, money was recovered, and I thank the residents for the 3.5 millage they passed so we could keep those police officers on the road to keep our city safe. 30 minutes after my speech was over Tuesday, roughly about 10:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, we had another armed robbery at Ford and Garden at the smoke shop. Shots fired inside the building. Our police department went over there and made the arrest. They're both in jail awaiting trial. 30 minutes after my speech. This morning, we had an armed robbery at the 7-Eleven at Ford and Merriman. They left there and they went to Cherry Hill and Vinoy in Westland and robbed that 7-Eleven. And then they went on to Canton and they were captured in Canton, the same group of thugs. So I can't thank you residents enough, and I'm telling you, police and fire protection is #1 for our family, for our wife and our kids and our grandkids. I know a lot of people didn't want to pay that 3.5 millage for police and fire, but you're reaping the benefits. You're getting your money's worth. I'm talking 7 or 8 armed robberies right off the top of my head, every one of them caught. So I think you guys need to know that. And we got one of the finest fire departments too. If you're having a heart attack, they can come there with that defibrillator, get your heart restarted, which they've done several times. Fire, their response times within 3 and 5 minutes. save your dwelling, save your garage. So for anybody that doesn't like that 3.5 millage, I will argue with you because you're getting your money's worth. And again, thank you for helping keep Garden City safe. I can't mention that enough. That's all I have. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.